Hi students, it's Ms. Bitzer. Welcome to the clay room. I know many of you have already sat in this room many times, but you have never actually been in this room to work on clay, which is what we're going to be doing for the next several weeks. So I'm just going to give you a tour of the room, where we can find things and access things, so when we come back from our virtual week, we know what to do. So if you walk in the room and you continue to walk to the back, towards the back, you're going to see this lovely clay trash can. If you remove the lid to this trash can, this is where we keep the clay. And you might notice there's a bunch of rags in here. This is just to keep the clay nice and soft and workable. You can remove those. And then, as you see here, this is where you can access your clay. Anytime you need clay that is soft and workable, you will just go right into this trash can, and this is where you will get it. If you have clay that is soft and workable, maybe you got too much, it goes back into the clay trash can if it is still soft and workable. All right, let's continue. Next to the clay trash can, you will see rolling pins and something called roller guides. We are going to use these for our first project, and they're used to roll out slabs, which is just long, flat pieces of clay. If we look back here, these are the wedge boards. They are really dirty right now, but when you come in on Friday, they will be nice and clean. You can see some clay that's here that is drying out. That will also be removed when you come back. But this is the area where you'll be doing something called wedging your clay. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. As you continue back to the back of the room, you will find some other things. If I turn here to my left, we will talk about glazing as we get more into the clay process, but up here on the wall are all of your glazes, which is what you use to color your clay once it has been fired. Okay? And when I say fired, I mean baked into a kiln. And in this room back here, this is where you will find the kiln. Okay? This is a room that only I need to access, and of course I will access the kiln, and this is where your work will go in and become really hot, and then it will get really hard, and it will come out, and it will be colorful. Let's continue. There are a few more things that we need to look at here. If you open this cabinet here, you will find something called rolls of canvas. Ooh. These are just long canvas mats that are used for rolling out slabs or working on our clay so it doesn't stick to the table. Okay? This is something that you'll definitely need to access. And in this bin here, you'll find some hair dryers, which are also something that you'll need to access during the clay unit. And you'll also see a variety of blenders, which you also might need to access. If we continue walking over here, you will see two bins that have old rags in them. Okay? These old rags are used to keep your clay soft, so if your clay gets too dry too fast, you'll wrap it in a damp towel and it will bring your clay back to life. Okay? Right next to that is a big black trash bag, which is actually filled with other bags. And that's what you're going to be using to wrapping your clay up every day at the end of the class period so it stays nice and soft. Okay? Remember, air dries out clay, so if we don't wrap it and take care of it every day, when we come back in, it will be hard as a rock. Continue to the other side of the room here, you'll see some bins that have something like really sloppy looking in them. This is where we recycle clay, and specifically for your class, you'll recycle your clay in this bin that says Hand Building 153, scraps to recycle. What that means is anytime you have really hard pieces of clay that are not workable anymore, you'll put it in this bin. It's filled with water, and eventually that clay will break down and it'll be able to be used again. So the clay can be used over and over and over again until it gets fired. It can always be reclaimed. Up here you'll find a clothesline. So if you do end up needing to use some of these old rags to help get your project soft again, when you're finished with them, you can just hang them on the line so they dry, and then they'll go back into the bin over there. Right. Over here are my pottery wheels. You will not need to access them. This is something that you will use if you decide to take 3D design next year. Okay? And this trash can here also has clay in it, but that's only wheel throwing clay. You do not need to access that trash can. Okay? If I turn here to the windows and where I see my sinks, obviously here are the sinks. You're going to need to access them quite a bit during this class. In this bin here is where you're going to find slip. Okay? We'll talk more about slip, what slip is and what slip does in another time, but this is where you can find containers of slip. As you come over here, you will find something called canvas boards, which is similar to the canvas rolls, just on a smaller scale. And then as we work our way down the line, these are all of the clay tools. We are going to go through what the tools do tomorrow. Today you just need to know where the tools can be found, which is over here by the windows. Look here at the cabinets, you will see where student work is being stored. You will be assigned a shelf either in one of these cabinets, over here towards the kiln room, or possibly back here on this rack. So everybody will have a place to keep and store their work as we continue through the clay unit.